In recent years, Philadelphia has faced several high-profile instances involving arrests without probable cause in cases of mistaken identity, which have led to significant legal consequences. One of the most pressing issues is the persistence of wrongful arrests due to inadequate or flawed investigations.
Funny story. So I grew up wanting to be a lawyer, right? People, saw that I like to argue. When I found out there was a such thing as a job for this, you can get paid for this. I joined the debate team, won all types of trophies in middle school. I always had aspirations of helping the youth with whatever my career path was, like trying to build a community center where I used to play basketball at, all that type of stuff. And from that point on, I had purpose. It felt natural. It felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Another reason why I got into education is to be the positive role model for kids that doesn't have to play basketball, football, be a rapper, sell drugs, whatever. You can be cool and still control your own narrative without being one of those things. On October 14th, 2023, I was pulled over for what was called a routine traffic stop for tinted windows. He asked me to produce my credentials, and as I'm doing that, I asked him, what am I being stopped for? Oh, this is just a routine stop, the windows tinted. So I'm like, okay, he kind of de-escalated that situation. His partner walks up to my passenger side window, and he asked me to put the window down for his partner, and I obliged. As I roll the window down for the partner tells me, doesn't ask, he commands me. As soon as the back windows go down, they direct me to get out the car. The initial officer puts his hand inside my open window, unlocks the car from the inside, pulls the inside door handle, and begins to tug on me. From there, I'm like, if I just get out of the car, hopefully everything will go better for me. Officer 2 instructs Officer 1 to tase me. Luckily for me, he actually reached for his taser, pulls his taser gun out, shoots me with it 2 times. My mind is running 1,000 different places.
According to a study by Whitley Law Firm, Pennsylvania paid over $58 million for police misconduct settlements between 2010 and 2014. This amount ranks the state third highest in the nation for large payouts, averaging $14.8 million per settlement.
So in 2018, I was stopped by cops for mistaken identity. Literally not even 5 minutes from leaving my mom's crib, I literally get pulled over by 4 cop cars. Came to my car, everybody surrounding the whole car. My windows half down, so they asked me, get out the car. I told them, listen, I didn't do nothing. I ain't go nowhere, I just left my mom's house. So as I'm telling the officer, I got my window half up. They're reaching in to roll the window completely down. But while they're doing that, they're literally dragging me out the car. Now I'm face down on my stomach in the mid-daylight with all these cops with guns in my face. And I really had hopes that the black officer would have some type of remorse, but he didn't. It was another officer who finally came clean off a radio called into the car that it was mistaken identity because me and the person that actually did the hit and run had the same quote-unquote outfit on. After that, I ain't gonna lie, I was very emotional. I went home, went right back around the corner, went right back in the house. Didn't even want to tell my mom because I know how she would probably just, as a mother, just feel. So I wound up telling her she wanted to go down to the police station, talking to me and my stepdad, and he's like, what do you really want to do? And I'm like, I really don't want the attention. I really don't want to deal with it because it's their word against mine. But my mom was smart enough to keep trying to push me to go, but eventually I just told her, like, just back off. I don't really want to deal with it.
Similar to Jameer, the majority of people who have negative experiences with police often choose to stay silent, fearing retaliation or further mistreatment.
So if the question is how often are innocent young teens in our community, in particular black and brown teens, falsely detained, searched without probable cause, and otherwise having negative interactions with law enforcement that really are meritless, the answer is that it's far too many still. So very often these incidents are not reported. Even though they happen, people believe that, even though we have citizens police oversight, for example, now, before that, the Police Advisory Commission, some people believe that if I report it, nothing will happen. If I report it, something worse will happen. And so, sadly, for many young people, especially black people and brown people, the assumption is that this is normal and it's supposed to happen.
fired Philadelphia police officer is now under arrest.
Between March and June of 2022, the Police Oversight Commission received 658 complaints.
They try to push me into a squad car. I asked him, am I under arrest? His partner to tase me says, yes, you're being arrested for reckless endangerment. He said, you were being an asshole. We tell you to get out the car, you get out the car. We don't need any reason to tell you to get out the car. If an officer tells you to get out the car, that's just what you do. You know, from there, taken to the hospital. You know, it was mandatory because they tased me. I'm sitting in the hospital for what feels like forever. It was probably realistically like an hour or so. You know, they take my vitals or whatever, ask me some questions, you know, am I diabetic, stuff like that. I'm in the cell for about 13 hours. They tell me to grab my stuff, my water bottles, whatever. You know, from there, I think I'm going to be arraigned to see somebody to get my phone call. And then they walk into the front door and they say, all right, have a good day.
So the $64,000 question is, how can you actually hold police officers who have been found guilty of wrongdoing accountable? How do you change behavior? How do you change culture? I mean, this is, in my opinion, the most difficult part. We do ask them to do things that are inherently dangerous, right? But there's a point where you take that too far. So backing my play goes from, you know, be my backup on this stop to back whatever happens. If I plant evidence on someone to make a case, back that up. If I do something that is brutal to someone, you witness it, don't say anything, back it up. For all of the talk that you hear from the law and order folk of our community, where people won't come forward to testify against others in violent crimes, and this, you know, you all have to get over that snitching thing. And then they turn around in the department, and if an officer comes forward to talk about another officer's wrongdoing, they're called a snitch and worse by the police. So you can't have it both ways. It has to be consistent. So if law enforcement wants the community to act in a certain way, they have to model it. And when police officers in that locker room start to hold each other accountable, not just privately, but publicly, that's when we're going to see behavior change.